Morning, everyone. Today we are looking at a Amazon find of a crawler tire, the Betrazzi Precipice, I believe is what it's called. In the listing, they advertised this specifically for the FCX10, the FMS FCX10. So I don't know if Betrazzi is like, do they make FMS's tires, or I'm not sure what the relationship there, or if that's just an advertisement tactic to market a specific, not that well-known crawler. But anyway, the Betrazzi Precipice are not doing that well on the side hill. Too much side slide. I don't even think we're going to be able to take the low line. Let's go ahead and start turning up and see if we can correct this rollout, because we're about to roll out. The Betrazzi Precipice are stickier than most kind of Amazon or, let's say, Banggood, AliExpress compounds that you get, but they're the same price. These are $15 for a pair, $30 for a set, and there's the nasty rollout. So $30 for a set of crawler tires is typically a pretty good price. And a lot of times I'm willing to take some performance sacrifices for that if I have to. Now on the side hill, we're not running the factory inserts, which are a very soft memory foam. The factory inserts are actually pretty nice for a Amazon tire. However, they're too soft. In these, I am running Hobby Soul dual stage foams that are pretty much very reminiscent of the Proline dual stage foam that they sell. Same design. The problem that we're seeing on the side hill from the Precipice is there's too much side slide. So forward drive so far does not appear to be a problem. Forward grip does not appear to be a problem, but at least on the side hill, this lug design, I don't think that this is a compound issue. I absolutely think that this is lug design. It just slides sideways too much. The sidewall is not collapsing at all, but there is enough conformity in the tread that we're not just driving. Ooh, I'm about to lose a screw in the bead lock. These bead locks, I'm not happy with them. These are an Amazon bead lock that kind of mimics an SSD design, and they're kind of crap. The screws on the bead lock ring keep backing out, and I haven't wanted to Loctite them because I don't Loctite bead lock screws ever, but I think I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna pause and address that real quick as well as I can. I'll show you what I'm talking about first. If you look at the driver's side rear tire, see the bead lock screw coming out right there. This happens a lot on these. It's frustrating. Okay, so we just pulled the screw out. I've got the right sized wrench up at the truck to fix that. But we're only going to run these tires for these wheels once today, so not a big deal. These wheels might be going in the giveaway bin anyway. But I'll probably Loctite those bead lock rings first so that the winner doesn't have to deal with that issue, although the winner will have to deal with the fact that they're Loctited, and if they try to take them off, they'll probably all strip out, which is why I don't like Loctiting bead lock rings, especially bead lock rings that use scale hardware. So once we're able to drive up and down the obstacle, the Precipice seems to be doing a good job. But side hilling, there is just way too much slip in that side lug, or in that lug design. Too much side slide for the side hill. See, we're even rolling off, getting off the obstacle. That kind of looked like, hope that there for a second it looked like we might have broke another rod end, but not yet. Probably won't be long though. That obstacle claims a lot of rod ends. Coming up to our next obstacle now, which we seem to have about a 50% pass-fail rate on whether tires can do this obstacle or not. It didn't used to be quite as hard as it is now, but the face of this obstacle is very slick these days, especially now. About a month ago, this rock was underwater for like a really long time, and since then, like, that seems to have polished the surface of it. There's like no sand feeling left to the surface of it, so it's very limestone feeling now, even though it is sandstone. And since then, things have been struggling a lot more on it. The precipice not able to get up at all the standard way. If we try to cross thread, yeah, we can do that. And we can do that without too much, well, I say without too much wheel speed, but then we get to a point and it stops making progress. I need to get a little further to hook that passenger side front. There we go. Okay, well, I mean, that is a pass, although now that I'm to the top, the back of my obstacle has disappeared, so we're just going to tumble off of it. Oh, never mind. There's something over there that at least kind of lets me come down. And on to the technical. Not an overly difficult obstacle, but it does require some technical driving, which requires good positionability from the tire. You need the tire to be predictable, and it needs to be able to steer where you're telling it to steer. So tires that push a lot, tires that the forward drive outweighs or outdrives the steering, basically, will struggle on this obstacle. And this is one that we haven't filmed a lot of, because before I started filming with the camera on the chest mount that it's on now, I was using a tripod, and there's just no good place to film this from with the tripod and trying to carry it. I needed my other hand to be able to stabilize myself because it's very uneven here. So I've always driven this, but being on camera is something that is relatively new. The Precipice is a predictable tire, if nothing else. Very good steering response. It goes exactly in the direction I point it. And these are the things that are often not talked about, I feel like, with a lot of your higher performing tires, is there is such thing as too much grip in a crawler tire. And especially depending on the terrain that you're driving in. If you're on a higher grip terrain, like I'm on sandstone, or even, I mean, there's a lot of different areas that I would consider higher grip than others, obviously. And if you're on a higher grip surface and you have a tire that has too much forward drive, you know, you can climb up some impressive hills, you can take some impressive lines, but a lot of times overall, what you end up with, no issues there. This fourth obstacle now, I guess, a lot of times tires struggle with being able to hook this edge of the rock. The Precipice is able to do that without problem. But anyway, some tires that tend to do really well in those situations, and the you know, forward drive situations where you might be able to take some really impressive lines with them. Where they can struggle is with steering response, because they have so much forward drive, especially on a higher grip surface, that when you steer, the rear of the truck just wants to push the front. Now, a lot of people choose to try to correct this with massive amounts of oversteer, or it's not oversteer, overdrive. Getting hung up on the center pumpkin there. Which that can correct a lot of that, but then massive amounts of overdrive can introduce other problems. You know, there seems to be a happy medium, and a little bit of it is personal preference. I seem to like between 18 and 24% in most rigs. Although I will say there's some rigs that, you know, 24% overdrive in this truck is what I've got in here. It's not necessarily the same as 24% overdrive in another truck. So sometimes the rig matters. And it's also just a personal preference thing. The type of terrain you're crawling on, the type of obstacles you drive on, whether or not you have to take gates. You know, if you don't have to take gates, sometimes steering response is not nearly as important if you do have to take gates, because you have more room for error if you don't have to take them. So coming down here, what we're looking for is to get the whole truck on this obstacle and then turn in. And we don't want the front to slide sideways, because then we will jam the front into the edge of this rock, which is about to happen. Now, in this case, there wasn't too much side slide. What happened was I didn't come onto the obstacle quite correctly. However, there was a little bit of side slide. So mostly the reverse there was taken because I did not come onto the obstacle properly. But there was a tad bit more side slide than I would want to see. Again, I'm attributing that to lug design. And honestly, I think I'm attributing that to the fact that the Precipice really doesn't have much of a pronounced side lug at all. For an aggressive looking tire, like, well, how do I put it? It's aggressive but weird looking. Like, it has a deep tread, like a mud tread kind of. Excuse me, guys. Although it's an interesting shape. There's like dog bones or something. I mean, they're not dog bones, but it's reminiscent of a dog bone. But I think that lack of side lug is contributing to the tire sliding sideways on side hills. Let's see if we can get up on here. Another one of those obstacles. It kind of seems to get more difficult with time because the base here keeps getting dug out more and more by tires spinning. So gonna have to do some obstacle work on this guy before too long to try to keep it fair. But what we want to see is these are all these edges here are pretty smooth and polished. And so optimally we can pull up on this if we have a good amount of forward drive and a good amount of like conformity in the lug. We can pull up on here slowly. If not, we kind of have to resort to wheel speed. The Precipice able to do it slowly without issue. They kind of had to find their line, but that's okay because we're not crawling with gates. So we work with the whole obstacle, and finding your line is a-okay by me. Not every tire is going to crawl every obstacle the exact same way, and that doesn't necessarily make a tire better or worse than anything else. It's just different. And as you know, guys, everybody's different, and that's okay. A little bit of sarcasm there. But, I mean, I'm serious. I'm weird as shit. My wife tells me she thinks I'm autistic, so I'm definitely a different person. And it is okay to be different. But I'm amused by the constant messaging of today's culture, virtue signaling. This obstacle, we need to slowly descend the rear of the truck. The rear tires need to have enough grip to not let the truck tumble, but they need to have enough slip to be able to set the nose down slowly enough to where it doesn't tumble. Because we can either tumble if the rear end slides right now too much, it's just going to send the rig tumbling. If it grips too much, once the rig pulls down off of here, it's going to send it tumbling. So we need the kind of the magic formula there. Now what we do see a lot of times is that's where I was talking about. So that's the slip we want to see. Now here, very often the rig gets set on its nose, just like that, but with a decent amount of, hang on, there we go. That is because of how the obstacle is. There's a steep drop there. So as long as I do my job, we can usually recover that. Here is another grip and slip obstacle. We need the rear end to grip enough to let the front end basically, we need the rear end to slip enough to let the front end do the work. Passenger side rear is off the ground right now. Okay, now what we're seeing is the front end is gripping a lot. The rear end, obviously passenger side is off the ground. Driver side is jammed up against a rock. I need driver side now to grip enough to not slide and let the truck tumble forward, and it does that. And approaching our most difficult obstacle on this course. The goal is to get up on her, and usually we have to hook the sidewall and use the side lug to crawl up the rock. A select few are able to slow crawl this without having to hook side lug at all, such as the Upgrade RC Rock Claw. A lot of tires can, you know, are we going to see that here? So that's the best. If a tire can walk up this without hooking side lug, that's like the best performance you can get. If we can just slow crawl this kind of straight up this way, or even if we have to take a slight angle and then hook the edge of the rock there, that's pretty good. Or a lot of tires have to use wheel speed to get the truck over and hook that side lug, and then it'll walk up. So how is the Precipice going to be? I don't think we're going to slow walk the obstacle without hooking the side lug. There's a decent amount of progress and then slide back, as the surface of this rock is very pocketed, and the Precipice has a decent amount of forward drive, but not excessive. If I can find a line that the truck or the tire likes, I think we could slow walk it over to the edge, but I don't know that we're going to find that line that it likes. Every time I think it's going to find it, then it slips back. So we're about to apply a little bit of throttle. There we go. Ooh, can we do throttle and not hook side lug? That's not something a lot of tires are able to do, because this obstacle is steep and it's pocketed, and so you get a lot of hopping once you apply throttle. And so being able to throttle your way up this without hooking side lug is pretty difficult. Thought I saw something fall, but it was just a rock. Thought something broke for a second. But easily, ooh, now we slide back too far. We have to reset. I was going to say easily able to hook that edge with just a little wheel speed, a little throttle. There we go. That's pretty good. Oh, lost the edge. That's driver error. Able to rehook it. And walking up the edge of this is a little bit of a, I guess, a technical line, because if you get the tire too far over, you start dragging the axle tube. What am I? Oh, rear pump can hang up. Not even on camera. I gotta say, for a $30 set of tires, I'm pretty impressed by the Precipice. Oh, I just said I was impressed, guys. Was that driver error or was that tire slide? I don't know. I don't know if that was driver error or tire slide. I wasn't paying close enough attention, which probably means it was driver error. But sometimes the reason that this is actually part of the obstacle is because you do need, this is a controlled descent. So I need grip, and then I need to put that front passenger side tire right on the edge of that rock that it's on now. Yeah, so the rear end lets go, which isn't fantastic. But if you're ready for it, you can catch it. But if you're not, what just happened the first time happens. But anyway, nonetheless, I am still very impressed with the Precipice for what they cost. I'm actually kind of curious as to okay, we're usually expecting the rear diff to hang up there. Am I tall? No, I just drove it too far to the right. So we want the rear diff to hang up to test how well the front tires can pull the rear when the rear have no grip, because when the rear hangs up, both tires are off the ground. And yeah, no drama there. They did that very well. I think I'm going to be testing these tires again, at least on my own time, maybe not on camera, and seeing if I can do anything to improve the side hill performance. And you might be thinking that I didn't give them a fair shot on the side hill because I didn't stay on that obstacle for very long. I've definitely stayed on it longer with other tires. The reason is because I could tell what the problem was, that it was just the lug sliding sideways, and it was just going to continue to roll off over and over again. And what I have learned since I've started filming instead of just driving is I spend more time on obstacles sometimes, and on that side hill, if I just spend time on it and keep rolling off, all it does is break rod ends. So the Precipice being the second tire to struggle getting on the big old hill today, I did double check the entry of this obstacle to make sure it hadn't changed, and it has not. I checked it against pictures that I took when I built the entrance because I had to build it up so much. Whoop. So I think we can get on with wheel speed. It's going to be, throttle modulation is going to be key there, because if I just hit wheel speed and then stop, that's not good. And if I do too much wheel speed, I think it's going to just backflip. Ugh. I wonder though, oh, never mind, there we go. I was going to say, I wonder if that tree has fallen a little more and shifted, but I don't think it has. I think we're good. This obstacle is one of those that definitely tires handle it differently. The lines that they take, some need to come a lot more towards me, some need to stay a lot more towards that tree. But if you get too close to that tree, then you get hung up on it. And then of course we have to exit with side or with wheel speed because of the way it kind of just drops off at a 90-degree angle into this ravine. So we have to put a little bit of wheel speed to it to keep it from getting hung up. And the Precipice really making short work of that obstacle. A tiny bit of drama getting onto it. But they found their line quickly. They didn't really end up having to use much wheel speed to get on, just a little blip of the throttle, which is something that I'm having to relearn with the motor that I put in this. This truck, I used to run a 1200 kV Fusion SE. I put a Fusion Pro, which is 2300 kV in it, because I wanted to have more wheel speed for certain instances, like the hill climb that some tires take more wheel speed on. But I really like that. I really miss the 1200, and I think what I might be doing is pulling out the Fusion Pro and putting in an 1800 kV Fusion SE. I could also maybe just reduce the pinion size in this, but I kind of think I'm already on one of the smaller pinions that you can fit in a Stealth XF. I think the smallest size you can really run is a 17 tooth. And I think I might be running a 19, so I need to check all that. Maybe I'll lower the pinion size if I can and see where we're at, because the Fusion Pro just has a little more balls than I really like for rock crawling. Great for trailing, but I'm a slow, low throttle guy. I don't need my trucks, like even on the trails, I don't like the top speed of my rigs to be much faster than my walking pace, just a little bit faster than my walking pace. Ooh, I thought we were gonna pull right up. Yeah, we did. Pulled right up on that. This obstacle is deceptively difficult. It looks very simple, but the edge here, these are all very smooth, and it's very eroded and it's very slick. And a lot of tires struggle to pull up on that because there's not a single, like, it's not like there's one ledge it can grip onto or something. So it's actually kind of difficult. Now we come up to our loose gravel hill climb. This is really the reason I put the Fusion Pro in it, is because I've never had a tire fail this obstacle completely. And the goal of this obstacle is to, once you get up here to the steeper part where the gravel is loose, you want to be able to do this with as little wheel speed as possible. That's what my goal is. But some tires have had to do this full throttle, and some tires struggled at 1200 kV. And I think I should have just went up to 1800 kV. because the pinion I was running on the 1200 kV, it was a 22 or 24 tooth, so it was a pretty big pinion. I didn't really want to go with any bigger. I should have just went with an 1800 and put a 20 tooth in it. We'll see. Might be another motor change on this guy coming soon. But the Precipice not having any issues there with the hill climb at all. Whew. I, however, did have some issues with the hill climb. Where's that big ass spider web? It's still there. Let's go around. I just slipped coming up the hill climb and scraped up my knee a little bit. And that is the reason why I've started using this chest mount for the camera instead of the tripod. Is I probably would have broke the camera if that would have happened when I was carrying the tripod. And the camera is my cell phone, so that would have sucked. All right, let's talk Betrazzi Precipice. $30 for a set of 4 tires that do need foams, but there's a lot of different foams that could work very well in these. The foams that I have in them are about $20 for a set of 4. You could also get Endura silicone foams, $20 for a set of 4. I have a feeling those would work very well in here. So let's say $20 for foams, $30 for the tires, $50, and you have a really good setup for significantly cheaper than you can get a lot of other stuff. Overall, I'm pretty impressed. Would I consider the Precipice a rock crawling tire? Yeah, I think I would. This is the dog bone shape I was kind of talking about. It's more dog bone looking when you're driving than it is when it's sitting here. It actually kind of looks a little bit like a Wild Peak when it's sitting here. Yeah, I think I'd consider it a crawling tire. It did a good job. It's not the best crawling tire out there, and I think it would be really good on the trails. It is a little bit sticky, but it's definitely more rubbery than it is sticky compound. If it was a little bit stickier, I think this would kind of be a tire to look out for. If I could change anything, I would pronounce the side lug a little bit more. As you can see, it really just kind of squares off there. If this came out a little bit more, I think that would help a lot with side hilling. If the top of these just came out just a little bit and gave it something to kind of catch it as it starts to slide, I think that would help a lot. I'm going to see if there's anything I can do about the side hilling performance of this, because that's really the only part that I don't like. It did fail another obstacle or two, but you know, that's why we have multiple obstacles, is because not every tire makes it up at every obstacle. But side hilling performance is its biggest Achilles heel. But admittedly, the side hill I have here is different than the side hills that you might have. Mine is very pocketed, mine is very uneven, and it's relatively steep. You know, 45 degrees, 47 in the most steep areas, 39 in about the most shallow areas. So not like an insane side hill, but when you have a 45 degree side hill and you have pocketing on it, that does upset tires a lot. So overall, I don't have any big complaints, especially considering the cost. I got these on Amazon. They're called Betrazzi Precipice. They advertise them for the FCX10 specifically, and I'm not sure why, but they're good tires. So until next time, everybody, have a good one.